Moving on to the Lakers now. The King about to miss the playoffs for the first time in 15 years. Focus now has shifted to who will inevitably replace the head coach out there in L.A., Luke Walton. Doc Rivers was the latest name to be thrown into and subsequently out of the ring. According to a report, Doc was advised against taking the job because apparently LeBron doesn't want to be coached. Stephen, you buying this report?
I'm just so tired of all the lies. Like, the man has been dominant his whole career. He has one losing season. Now he don't want to be coached. Now he's a bad teammate. Now he's not invested in the team. Now man, stop it, okay? This is a losing season. People just exaggerating. No, I wouldn't say he wanted to be coached. He's been coached his whole career. Now, people say that because they don't have the basketball IQ he has, then that's on you. But don't blame him for being smart enough to be able to coach a team and play at the same time. And don't fault him for being smarter than the coach. Okay, we can't fault him. They're losing right now, contributed to a losing season, but don't put all that on LeBron. I hate it. It's getting on my nerves.
There is no sport either, like basketball, Stephen, where a player, and that's why we've seen so many players be executives and immediately be coaches, because the intel, it's impossible in football. It's impossible for me to know what Bill Belichick knows. He studied everything. Special teams, he knows time management, he knows those things. But as a basketball player, the coach is teaching you everything because you're playing all aspects, offense, defense, and all the little small things. So if you approach LeBron James talking about basketball, and I learned this from Shaq. Shaq told me this. Chris, he is so bon. I was, what? I said, what's Shaq? He said, man, he's a genius. He's got a photographic memory. He memorizes plays teams are running. He'll call out their sets. Like, it's amazing. Shaq told me this, and I was at a Cavs practice the first time he was with the Cavs, so I've always looked at LeBron differently, knowing my brother was an NBA player and coach. There are players in the league that you have to come correct with the information because they know the game as good or better than the coaches. Not the other sports, you're not going to see that. So I could understand how LeBron could be misunderstood. And when you're a great player, anything happens to the coach, the great player going to get some of that shade.
And then a lot of people understand, this is breaking news for all you people that don't understand. A lot of coaches, especially in the NBA, the assistant coaches and guys on the back, these are ex-baseball players, ex-computer guys. They don't really know too much about basketball. They just given those jobs. So you can't expect these guys that have been playing basketball their whole life to sit there and try to listen to a guy that's never played the game.
Well,
it's a big difference.
And in LeBron's case, his head coach obviously did play the game, and Luke Walton.
But he's not respected.
But it's an odd dynamic. They're the same draft class.
He's not respected,
right?
Though.
And I do not listen. I think LeBron will take to coaching. I think you got to prove yourself.
Yeah,
and listen, there's an argument to be made that shouldn't be the case. That the team would be better off if the best player would instantly submit themselves to the coach. But LeBron has, to me,
I wouldn't be arguing that case.
Okay, good.
NBA,
okay,
if you look at, man. I mean, if you look at our best players, man. I mean, let me tell you something. The analytics, your boy, Daryl Morey, let me tell you something. When he met James Harden, man, he started looking at them analytics and started looking at the talent like, okay, and he blended.
They blended them perfectly together. And he got, and he's had now his best success when he got with his best coach. When Kevin McHale was issued out the door, you bring in Mike D'Antoni, you marry D'Antoni's system with Daryl's analytics, with Harden's skill set, and that's how you have that team. I do not begrudge LeBron James for saying when he got to L.A., Luke Walton going to have to prove himself to me. And when, after a few months, saying, you ain't proven nothing. Now, do I think that if Doc Rivers was the head coach there, LeBron would respect Doc? Absolutely. Do I think Doc could teach LeBron something? Absolutely. When he got to Miami, he wasn't in there Spoelstra. And according to Chris Mannix, he didn't pushed out the door. Spoelstra stayed. Spoelstra proved himself to LeBron. They have a great relationship now. The last few years there were excellent. He bonded with Fizdale as well. Fizdale was one of the assistants there. Yeah. Fizdale's a guy he's wanted to have as his coach. So he didn't respect Blatt. Blatt was a doofus in the NBA. He might be a great international coach. He was a doofus in this league. And Luke Walton, what is the thing Luke Walton does great? What's the thing Luke Walton's going to say, LeBron, you never thought about this. Let me teach you something about the game. So This idea, LeBron is now being criticized for a coach who was never offered a job, who was not available to take a job, not taking a job.
But that's the coach that was there when he got there. So for him to walk in and say what he said, he basically wrote the guy's walking papers before the season even started.
Oh, I disagree with that. I just think he didn't sign off on it.
Well, a lot of people feel like Luke didn't even earn that job.
Maybe not, but
a lot of
LeBron's,
players.
It's not up to a player to, I don't know, for him to voice that earlier on in the season.
But he didn't voice it. He didn't voice it. LeBron has not publicly criticized Luke, but he clearly didn't buy in. But buy into what?
But when you walk in the locker room and you see guys that's not playing, disrespecting the coach, when you see guys that's not even dressing out, disrespecting the coach,
talking about Beasley.
Not even just Beasley, just period. The team, the guy, it's been more than him that got into it with Luke. Guys that shouldn't even say nothing to the coach. They feel like they have the confidence to say. That's when all respect is gone. And you don't have to be the person to argue with him to know that. You can see how everybody else is treating him.
The most respectful thing LeBron did for Luke was
show up.
Number one, and number two, when Magic was sitting at his house, because I can guarantee you this was discussed.
Yeah. Do you want us to change coaches?
Yeah, he could have recommended no. He could have immediately, no, man, you need to get rid of the coach. LeBron gave him a chance.
Gave him a year. LeBron 100% could have said, Jeannie Buss would not in that room. Jeannie Buss is Luke's godmother in this regard, where she's the one that hired Luke and likes Luke. But if it were to get LeBron, he had said, here's what we need. You got to get rid of that head coach. And then there's other coaches available. We know he's got it. I don't think Mark Jackson was a great NBA coach, but we know he was available, would love the job. There are different people who were available. Fire Luke, bring that guy in. He gave him the ability to prove himself. And listen, I've had this argument with a lot of people, which is your point, which is doesn't he owe Luke Walton the buy-in? LeBron James's loyalty is due to the organization. The best thing for the Lakers moving forward. And LeBron James blindly buying into a coach who I guarantee you will not be an NBA head coach next year. Like the idea that, oh, well, he's getting screwed. This guy, if Spo got fired, somebody else would have hired him. The guy, David Black got fired. He'll never coach in this league again. Luke Walton might one day be a head coach in the NBA again. There's going to be a half dozen teams that have the ability to hire Luke Walton next year. Nary one of them's going to.
Nick, man, you pointed out to me, too, and a lot of people, when LeBron, he went to Miami, and then he came back to Cleveland, people were like, man, he had to come back home. But LeBron talked about his experience in Miami, and he admitted it was going to college.
Yes.
And that's where he learned. And he might have had something against Sproles, how he was taught, whatever the system was, but he got his college degree when he left there. And LeBron has tremendous respect for the game of basketball and the history of basketball. Last week he was talking about, man, his AAU, I mean, his first, like, AAU coach, and how he taught his
school coach, his grade school coach.
How he made him roll the ball to some players who couldn't get their shot off and everything. So that's one thing I can say. LeBron is going to always, and the greats always take more criticism than they deserve, but then it's up to us who have that type of platform to be able to shield some of that and be like, some of this is just made up.
And we can't fault Luke for having a Hall of Fame dad.
No.
That's because that's a lot of reason why he getting a lot of opportunities. That's a lot of reason why even Austin Rivers, nobody wanted to sign him. Doc Rivers signed him. I pray to God that my kids get a job just off my name. You can't be mad at him for that.
Real quick, just real quick before you go, how would LeBron respond to Greg Popovich?
With respect. The same way D-Wade hugged him when Pop gave him the jerseys, that respect there is mutual. Because, like you said, you know what the coach is going to bring, and you know he's giving his all, and he has the resume to stand behind it.
Stephen, we'd love having you here this week. Thanks so much for being here.
I enjoyed it. Thank you. I'm going to miss you.
We love when you're here. Take a break coming up.
No, Coach Izzo, Steven Jackson is right, man.